This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. A man, no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This is an A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. A man, no rain from the track when we unite.
Hey, now it's I guess we'll call this one overtime, but it's a AEW Revolution Instant Reaction, or just AEW Revolution Reaction. Instant Reaction is the Voices of Wrestling. That's what they're doing right now. They're live on their Patreon. So, but man, I'm just buzzing. So I felt the need to go ahead and record right now. I was gonna do this like first thing in the morning, but I'm like jazzed up about how awesome this show is. So I'm like, you know what? I just have to go up and record. I just have to go up, hit record, get it done. So I didn't advertise this. This is live on the Patreon right now. And so I don't expect anybody to be able to join me. It's super late and there's like 100 different other shows going on right now. So, but yeah, AEW Revolution, reaction. This is Mike Gilbert. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate you being a Patreon subscriber. Hold on, swig of water for the working man. I hope you Patreon members get an opportunity to check this show out. But man, this is gonna sound like hyperbole, and I know I do this sometimes. Like I'm very guilty of recency bias. I've done this with TNA pay-per-views in the past. I've done it with WWE pay-per-views, and I'm about to do it here with AEW's latest pay-per-view Revolution. I think this is the best pay-per-view that they've ever done. Some people will say last year's Revolution. I would put this one ahead of that one, and other people would say all out 2021 with all the surprises that they had. But I'm gonna go ahead and put this one above that too, because there was no moment that they had on any of those shows that compared to what we just saw with Sting and Darby Allin. It was flat out incredible. The whole pay-per-view. Like there was a couple of stinkers on the show. Don't get me wrong. We'll get into that. I'll give my opinions on each match. I was able to watch all of the matches. So, except for 90 minutes, I'm not watching 90 minutes. Sorry. So I'm sure there was some lovely undercard talent on that one, doing their best and working hard. I kept seeing that one on Twitter. Oh, they're working so hard tonight. Okay. You're doing the bare minimum. Thank you. It's like, are they having good matches? I don't know. But yeah, this AEW show, man, was flat out incredible. I booked it differently in my head, and of course they booked it. They didn't choose my booking, and they which doesn't happen often. They actually did better than what I thought they would do. So let's just go right into the main event, because I loved this match so much. At one point I had to kick my kid out because Darby was bleeding so bad because of the stupid glass. Darby is a fucking idiot. It's just like, what a stupid human. He didn't need to do that. Like the moment, the whole match was like incredible without that. He didn't need to do that. So, and I will talk about it, but yeah, the main event, man. Probably, I think we could probably put this in like, right up there with all of Sting's best matches. This is probably like number one or number two. Like it's right there. With all the pomp and circumstance, like his kids coming out with him during the entrance, the video that they played beforehand, the kids coming out, and his, one had Surfer Sting and one had NWO Wolfpack Sting, and then Sting coming out to Seek and Destroy by Metallica. I was at my dining table on a solid redwood, and I started pounding the table because I was so excited when Seek and Destroy hit. Because that's my favorite entrance theme that he's ever had. I just love it when he comes out to that. So I started pounding with excitement, and and Flair and Steamboat being there, I thought that was really cool. Hold on, let me take this earpiece out. man, I'm kind of at a loss. But yeah, the entrance, everything about the entrance, I just loved. It was fantastic. Um, I really like seeing Ricky Steamboat come out. That was a pretty nice surprise. And then I think they had like at ringside, they had Nikita Koloff, and for some reason Scotty Riggs of the American Males. I was like, it's like, oh, all these legends and Scotty Riggs. No, Scotty's cool, man. but him getting noticed on during the show was pretty funny. But yeah, just everything about it. And Sting and Darby coming down to the ring, and then they start hot, right? They start hot, and Sting's two kids, who I hate these kids, by the way. That's bullshit, because when I saw them a few weeks ago, I was pretty upset. I was like, this is ridiculous. These fucking kids. They're both like they're rich, like they're rich kids, right? Their dad's pretty well off guy. And they're like jacked, and they're really handsome, and their dad is Sting. That's horseshit. Like, how many advantages in life do you get? That's bullshit. And they're, you know what? And what would really piss me off is if they're like super hilarious. Like, if they're like hilarious, like game over. I don't want to see these kids ever again. No, I'm just kidding. It was really cool to see them out there during the show. And their stinger splashes are a bit weak, but to be expected. They probably, other than like in their backyard, had never done anything like that before. But it was kind of cool that they were incorporated. Like the first half of the match, it was like, the Young Bucks getting their asses kicked. And it was just, a bunch of brawling, Sting and Darby cheating, with outside interference, which is acceptable because of Sting and Darby. And then they're brawling all over ringside. They're brawling up through the crowd, and at one point they get up to the stage, and I believe Nick Jackson and Darby go off the stage through a table, and that had a bunch of water bottles on it on one side, and then on the other side it was Matt and Sting, and Matt had done a superplex off the stage through a table to Sting. And like that's when the craziness it started right there. That was just fucking bonkers to see a 64-year-old man get suplexed off the stage through a table. And it wasn't like the super padded stuff that you see sometimes. Like, you remember when at Blood and Guts years ago, when Jericho went off the top of the stage and then he fell off onto like a crash pad. Like we didn't see anything like that. And WWE uses crash pads too, so you would assume that 64-year-old Sting's going to use a crash pad, but it didn't. Like, if they did use one, it didn't. I couldn't tell, right? So, which is good, because then they probably concealed it pretty well and they shot it pretty well. But, so yeah, that part was just incredible. And then they get back to the ring, and I'm doing this all off of memory. I don't even have my notes up, so as you can see, I'm kind of like doing pauses and trying to get my thoughts together. So they get back to the ring, and Darby starts to go crazy. So Darby's like fighting off both of them by himself, and then at one point he sets up. So they'd already set up like the plate glass, or like the sugar glass or whatever on the chairs to the outside, and he's got Nick Jackson kind of sitting there, and Darby goes to the top of the ladder, like the tallest ladder. It's inside the ring, does a dive off of it through the chairs, through the glass, just destroys his back. Like, he's just bleeding all over the place. It was actually pretty disgusting. Like, it's sugar glass, but sugar glass will still cut you, right? Some people are saying it was real glass, but I'm like, if that was real glass, I don't know. He really is stupid. He's a stupid person. Talented guy, right? Over like shit. Everybody loves the guy, but like, he's not somebody that I want my kid to be like. He's a modern day Jeff Hardy, and I just remember when I was a kid, like, I loved Jeff Hardy too, so I get why people like him. But now that I'm like an adult, I'm like, this guy's a fucking moron. It's like, why are you doing this? Somebody needs to talk this guy down, man. Calm the hell down. It was pretty freaking crazy. To see him do that, I don't think I've ever seen a bump quite like that. Like, from that high up on a ladder through, like, you see it through tables a lot, but this is through like steel chairs with glass on top of it. and glass, like legitimate enough glass to where it deeply cut. It deeply cut Allen on all over his back. Like he was bleeding so freaking bad. I was like, oh my God. And he was bleeding like crazy to a point where like my wife and daughter they were watching it with me, and this is the first time they watched AEW with me, because I was like, look, I really just want to watch the show, and I don't want to just go hide in the hide in the Gilbert Studios and watch it. So we all just watched it together, and I was like, oh shit, it's probably too bloody for my 5-year-old daughter, but so they ended up going to the other room like halfway through the match, like after that happened. But yeah, I'm trying to find the part where. So yeah, so after that match, this whole thing was so Sting finally shows up into the ring, right? And at one point, Sting gets up on that super top the top of that ladder and does a dive through one of the Young Bucks through a table, and he's like, probably like 15 feet. 15 feet like above the ring. I mean, it probably less than that. It's more of probably like an optical illusion. But yeah, it was crazy. So Sting's up on the top of the ladder, and one of the Young Bucks is on the table, and then Sting just dives off. So yeah, so the Young Bucks, the Bucks mocked the Sting house. I finally pulled my notes up because I'm just so fucking frazzled. But did friendly fire by missing a corner kick. Sting beat down Matthew, setting him up on the table and climbing the ladder. Matthew cut him off, and Nicholas set up another plane of glass in the corner. Matthew powerbombed Sting off the ladder through a table. That's what happened. But Sting got right up and no-sold. The Bucks sent Sting through the glass. So second glass spot. This was pretty freaking crazy too. Thankfully, Sting was wearing like a long sleeve shirt. And then as Matthew hit a low blow and a scorpion death drop, but Sting kicked out. Nicholas went to grab the tag title belt, but then Ricky Steamboat put a stop to that, only to get decked by Matthew. Ric Flair went into the ring to cover Sting from taking any more damage, but ate a double super kick for his troubles, as did Steamboat. Yeah, so they double super kicked Flair, and then Steamboat gets up on their ring apron, and then they double super kick him, and I thought that was kind of cool. Matthew leveled Sting with the title belt, but Sting again kicked out. The Bucks hit a double super kick on Sting, who no-sold it and rose from the dead. This is so fucking cool. Delivering a double lariat. So they did it to him while he was standing. And it looked like he was about to fall over. And then he just comes back and he got that look on his face. The place just goes apeshit. And then he just does the double lariat right after that. And then he hit a scorpion death drop on Matthew for 2. Sting went for another, but Matthew rolled through, and the Bucks hit an EVP trigger, but Sting kicked out again. The Bucks shook Sting's hand and said it was a pleasure doing business with him before he had another EVP trigger, but then Sting kicked out at 1. And Sting told him to bring it as he ate a super kick, and the Bucks wanted a TK driver, but Allen flew back in, and Allen's just like his whole back is just covered in blood at this point. Like, so there's a lot of time that sort of goes by here, but Allen's like on the ground, just bleeding profusely from his back. It's pretty fucking crazy. And then he, at the opportune time, gets up and then pushes him off the top through another table. Sting hit a scorpion death drop to Matthew for a 2, and as Allen left off the top with a bloody back, coffin drop before Sting sank in the scorpion death lock on Matthew, who tapped out, and the crowd absolutely exploded for the finish. Yeah, I exploded in my house. That's how awesome that was. I was just so excited to talk about that. I had to go right to the main event. The main event was perfect. Sting's entire run in AEW was perfect. There's not. I'm like looking back on it. There was never at any moment where Sting was like, he's 64 years old, right? And sometimes when you get guys like that old in the ring, they oftentimes you're like, oh man, he really shouldn't be doing this. He's kind of like a shell of his former self. But we never got that out of him with this run in AEW. Like the run in AEW is like almost perfect. I don't think it could have been a better run. I really don't. I don't know, man. It was just the whole run in AEW was just fantastic. Tony Khan did so good by this guy. He should be applauded. I know they watched the way that Noah did the farewell show for the Great Muta last year, or Keiji Muto, and they wanted to top it. I don't know that they topped it. I don't know, but what they did was pretty fucking amazing. And I'm just so happy that I was able to watch it, able to check it out, and I was so happy that he was able to get this run in AEW, because the run that he had in WWE, some of it's not WWE's fault. A lot of it is. They never really treated him with the reverence that AEW and TNA did. When he came to TNA, like day one, he was the icon Sting. He was like the legendary Sting. He was always, they brought him in with reverence all the time. Now, he did have some stinkers there, right? Like the Abyss match, the Last Rites match. He did have some crappy feuds, but for the most part, he was always like above, he was always like very respectable, and they always treated him great, with exception of like the Abyss feud, of course, and which was kind of embarrassing. And the Nick Aldis, him losing to Nick Aldis on his way out, and they could have done a farewell match to him for that. I think that would have been the appropriate way to go, but they knew that he was going to WWE to be in the video game and to go to the Hall of Fame, so they didn't do that. I was fine with them putting over Nick Aldis because that was the guy they wanted to go with at the time, but I think the way they went about it, it was just very like low key. Like tonight, what AEW did, like that's the template for how to do a retirement match going forward. Meaning the legend doesn't have to lose on his way out. I know that's tradition and that's the way people like it. It doesn't always have to be that way. There are exceptions, right? And Sting's that exception. And I know Warren and I talked about this on the Mike and JD show this past week, but and he was of the opinion that Sting should lose to the Young Bucks. And I saw his point of view, and I agree with parts of what he was saying, and I understand it. And and I thought that maybe AEW would need the Young Bucks to get molten hot and to have a feud and things like that. But they're going to be just fine. The Young Bucks are going to be just as over as they ever were. Even with losing here, because they were part of one of the greatest matches in pro wrestling history, for like legitimately, and one of the greatest moments in AEW history. Like they get to be a part of that, and they very likely had, if it's not his greatest match, it's like right up there. One of the greatest matches of Sting's career at age 64. The Young Bucks were able to pull that off, which is going to further cement them as being one of the greatest tag teams that ever lived. And I think people like to discount them because they're pains in the ass. They like to discount them because they're a little bit annoying, and maybe you don't like their style. But what they were able to accomplish tonight with Sting, you got to give them credit for it. They pulled out an amazing match with that guy. But I don't even know where I was going with all that. But yeah, so what they did tonight is the template. Legends can win on their way out. Only a select few, not everybody, right? Like Stone Cold didn't. He lost on his way out, but then he came back and he beat Kevin Owens, right, 2 years ago. So you don't have to beat them on their way out. I know it's tradition. I know you want to set the next generation up, but it doesn't always have to be that way. You can still set them up while winning. And I just think this Sting is like one of those exceptions. And looking at the landscape right now, I don't know who else would like fit that mode. But, everybody's, we always say Sting's 64. Yeah, Sting's Steve Borden 64, but that Sting character is kind of like timeless, and I've always kind of thought that about him. And he's fortunate enough to always stay in pretty good shape, and he has the face paint to kind of cover up. And so I don't know. I just loved everything about this. I think the Young Bucks match is going to go down. I think we're going to have to do another addition to the series, the Sting's Greatest Rivals, and add the Young Bucks to it, because I just thought the whole feud from start to finish was just fantastic. It was amazing. And so yeah, JD, and I'm going to tell JD, I was like, hey, we need to cover that this week, and then clip it for the Sting's Greatest Rival series, because I think it warrants it. It's like it's deserved it. It's deserved it. And I haven't really thought that about any of his, like, he's had a lot of really fun matches and really great matches, but they're all like, tag team stuff, and it wasn't really centered around him. So while he's been in AEW, so I didn't do any of the anything for the series for Sting's run in AEW so far. Even though I love it and I think it's absolutely perfect, but just I think because it's just been mostly tags and like 6-man tags, I didn't really like think it fit. But I think this Young Bucks one fits. So just incredible stuff. JD and I will try to do a deep dive here pretty soon and add that to the Sting's Greatest Rival series that I'm very proud of. It didn't get a ton of numbers, but I don't care. I love that series. I'm very proud of it. Let's go to the rest of the show. I thought mostly very good. Couple of stinkers. Christian Cage defeated Daniel Garcia. This is pretty good. Pretty good match. I thought that I thought maybe Garcia should have went over here. You know, I don't think Christian Cage needs the TNT title. I don't think that Christian Cage and Edge or Adam Copeland needs the belt for the feud. But look, and I thought they got something with Daniel Garcia. He's been getting over, so I thought maybe it was time to pull the trigger on him. But they didn't do it. So. But I really dug this match. I'm not going to go into the full play-by-play on the rest of these matches. So just do quick hits and talk about what I thought about each match. And then we get to Eddie Kingston versus Daniel Bryanson retaining the Continental Crown. I love this match. And I was like, after watching this one, I was like, there's no way they're going to be able to beat this. This is going to be a tough one to beat. These guys beat the shit out of each other. Eddie's like super awkward. He's like out of shape. You know, some of the stuff he does kind of looks like crap, but he's just so over and he's so dramatic, and the guy can sell. He's just got the crowd behind him. Everybody just kind of loves the guy, and so do I. And I totally get it. And him and Danielson are like the perfect match because Danielson's like the polar opposite of him. Danielson takes everything about himself seriously. He's constantly training. He's constantly learning and evolving. And Eddie Kingston just watches 90s All Japan tapes and like tries to mimic the moves and like, but he's such a good fucking promo, and he's just so he's very like probably one of the more like I'm gonna go and say like underrated, like as far as like how good of a worker he really is because of his appearance. But I thought this was just an incredible match. I thought Danielson was going to take it. I guess I was looking for all title changes tonight, but I thought Danielson would take it. But no, Eddie wins, and then that's the blow off for that feud. And then here we go to a big stinkeroo. Wardlow won it was just like a jobber scramble match. So it was Wardlow, Hobbs, Jericho, Archer, Hook, Brian Cage, Magnus, and Dante Martin. Man, Jericho being in this match is kind of embarrassing for him. He was once the top guy in this company, and now he's doing these geek matches. But this whole thing was designed to put over Wardlow. So a bunch of stuff happened, lots of botches. Dante specifically did not look very good in this match. I know he did some athletic moves, but you know, he would just, I don't know, didn't seem up to the task. Not very good. Wardlow won. I think this is probably going to lead to Wardlow versus Samoa Joe coming up, probably at Dynasty in April. And then Roderick Strong defeated Orange Cassidy. I'll be honest, I thought this was okay. Both these guys were pretty good. I knew Cassidy was going to kick out of just about everything. Roderick Strong got the win here. I think he really needed the win because the Undisputed Kingdom sucks. They're just ice cold. Whenever he comes out to the ring, nobody cares. Everybody tells me how great a worker Roderick Strong is, and he is a very proficient in-ring technician. But is he that great of a worker? Because it doesn't seem like anybody cares when he comes out. And I think that's a question like we need to define like what a good worker is. Because if you come out to crickets and you've been in the business for 20 years, are you that good of a worker? Or are you just really proficient at executing moves and holds? There's a couple moments in the match, like one moment specifically where he did did a backbreaker spot on the top turnbuckle to Orange Cassidy. Looked like fucking killed him. That was pretty cool. But again, these guys are both very proficient. I've been really cold on Orange Cassidy's latest run, and I've been super cold on Undisputed Kingdom. I didn't think this match even needed to be on the pay-per-view, despite the fact that, it was pretty good. I just don't think anybody's going to remember it, but it was good. Anyway, at the end, Kyle O'Reilly showed up, and they offered him They offered him an Undisputed Kingdom shirt, and Undisputed Kingdom sucks so bad that Kyle O'Reilly, who really is at his best when he's in a tag team or when he's in a faction of some sort, because I remember his solo run in NXT, and it was not good. Cool Kyle putting on a fedora, playing air guitar. Yeah, that sucked. But yeah, he's back. The little guy is back. He also very good at proficient at moves and can have some good matches here and there. But he decided not to accept the invitation into the Undisputed Kingdom. So that's the next story. Anyway, then we go to Moxley and Claudio defeating FTR. This was obviously phenomenal. All right, it took a little bit to get going, but once it did, it was pretty fucking fantastic. Harwood, bled. He actually bled, and I don't think Moxley ever bled, but I just thought this was great. This was old school, and this is what they were intended to. This is what they were intending to be. Moxley and Claudio got the victory here, but they actually started the match, and Moxley and Claudio were wearing Road Warriors shoulder pads, and of course Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler are knockoffs of Arn and Tully. So, and since they're in Greensboro, it kind of makes sense because they had a big feud there. In the Mid-Atlantic area, but I thought another amazing match. It's so difficult to have so many amazing. Like it could be overwhelming. Like I thought they should have cut a couple matches off this card, and gave more time to let Sting do his stuff at the main event. But this was not one of the matches that should have been cut. I thought it was fucking great. And then we go back to another stinkeroo. Timeless Tony defeating Deonna Purrazzo. This was just not good. Like they did some technically proficient stuff, but you could tell they were cooperating with each other the entire time. In the beginning, they were doing their kind of like a dance routine. And I don't know, it just wasn't good. The crowd was kind of dead for it. It's funny because Ospreay and Takeshita, when they started their match, they did a similar exchanging of holds dance routine, but it very much looked like a struggle compared to what Storm and Purrazzo did. And now Storm and Purrazzo are two very well trained wrestlers, but you could tell it's like they're just cooperating, right? Which is, I mean, it's pro wrestling, like we all know what it is, but it's just pretty obvious with them. But and the match, Storm and Purrazzo went a little bit too long, I thought, and maybe because I just didn't really feel like it was all that good. Yeah, anyway, Luther the Butler distracted Purrazzo, and then Mariah May distracted her, and then Toni Storm got the victory. So there you go. We're keeping this fucking belt on Toni Storm. If they're going to put Mercedes Moné with this Toni Storm thing, maybe they should have saved their money because they're going to tank Mercedes when she gets in. And then we go to, as far as like in-ring action, the hands down the best match of the night. Talk for just in-ring action, not drama, not like total package drama, what you got in the main event, but just pure fucking balls to the wall, awesome wrestling. Will Ospreay and Takeshita, and that's probably gonna get a 6 boy out of Uncle Dave, and it's probably gonna be one of the matches of the year. But Ospreay defeated Konosuke Takeshita, just two of the best wrestlers on the planet. We knew it was going to be great. They exceeded every single expectation we had for it. And really, like, they killed the crowd for the next match. It was that fucking good. It was just unbelievably great, this match. Ospreay starting off with like a 5 to 6 star match. His first match under contract at AEW. They couldn't have paid this guy enough. Like he's going to be such a big star for them. And I know people don't want to say that he was going, like, people are like, oh, he's a waste of money, or he's not big in the States. No, you should have, that crowd was way into him. It didn't matter where he went. He was going to be a super overact. It really did not matter. He's one of the best in the world, if not the best, like hands down. And he's going to be a megastar in AEW. And if people just can't see it, I just don't know what they're not seeing, because the guy is just flat out incredible. He is the next top star in AEW, hands down. And I can't wait to see Ospreay versus Danielson. And they need to put the title on Ospreay sooner rather than later. I don't think they need to do a build to the championship. I think with that, Joe beats Wardlow, and then come May, we get Ospreay and Joe and then have Joe win. I don't think we need to wait. I think we need to go right to like, here, this is our fucking guy. He's the best. Let's go. Speaking of Joe, then we get to the triple threat match between Joe, Hangman, and Swerve. I thought this was pretty good at times. Other times it stunk, but I thought the ending was pretty good. Hangman's doing this whole crazy thing. Here's my problem with it. So both times he attacked the referee during the match. So Samoa Joe had Swerve, or Swerve had a victory in hand over Samoa Joe. And Hangman was supposed to attack the referee, I believe, before the 3 count, but Joe kicked out, and then Hangman attacked the referee. And he did it twice. I don't know if he mistimed it or what. And the whole thing was just weird to me. It's like, why are you attacking him after he does the count? Joe kicked out. And I think maybe he just missed his time cue there. And then at the finish, Samoa Joe gets Hangman into the rear naked choke, and he taps out pretty quickly, and he just kind of gives up so that way Swerve doesn't get the title. Like, I don't know where the hell they're going with this. I don't know if I like it, to be honest with you. I like a heel Adam Page, but I don't know if I like that story, like him just like tapping out just so he can spite Swerve. Doesn't make any sense to me, but maybe we'll see where it's going. I don't know. Maybe it's the storytelling that we're all looking for, but I don't know. I don't think I'm into that one. And I was not as high on this match as other people were. I just wasn't. But with the main event, and with Eddie and Danielson, and Takeshita and Ospreay, and then FTR versus BCC, fucking, you got those 4 matches. And then a pretty solid match between Christian Cage and Daniel Garcia. That's a fucking hell of a pay-per-view. I don't know if we could have asked for a better pay-per-view. And I just thought that they everything they did tonight was, other than a couple of stinker matches, and I just thought the overbooking in the world title match was kind of lame. But for the most part, this was like a beyond incredible pay-per-view. They hit a home run, 17,000 strong in Greensboro Coliseum. Just an incredible night. I was just so happy that I got to watch it live. I don't really get to watch AEW shows live all that often, so because I don't have an AEW podcast. But if they keep cranking out shows like this, man, and you guys like these after shows, I was gonna hopefully get JD on this one, but he just couldn't make it. So maybe next time me and him will try to do something like this together. I think that would be cool. I think that'd be a lot of fun. As long as you guys like it, we'll keep cranking it out. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I really appreciate y'all being here, being subscribers to the Patreon. It means the world to me. It means the world to JD. Just thank you so much. And until next time, mahalo.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A-game. Made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This isn't A-game, better bring your A-game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A-game. Made no rain from the track when